Banshee simply means the woman, fairy. She is sort of translation to English as fairy, you know.
Oh, the banshee was in it all right. Dressed in white, all in white, comb her hair. And she'd come in the night and keen, it's called, you know. Ooh.
She's supposed to look like, it's a woman all in white, long white robes flowing in the wind, no physical form, long hair down to her knees, which just blows in the wind. And she's not supposed to have any actual facial features. You're not supposed to be able to define that now.
Well, the banshee we'd have that night anyway, you know, yowling like a cat.
What shall I had the banshee one night. I was here on my own at 14 years of age. And the following night a neighbour of mine crashed, and then during that night then he passed on. That's all there was to tell you, like. I just heard the banshee crying, that's all. And that much more to I just heard the person crying down there. In the night of that night. And it wasn't a human. But that more to tell you, like, what shall I presume to the banshee? I mean, the following evening the chap crashed and he passed on then during that night. So, I mean, there must be something in that, isn't there? I don't know. Do you? What would she helm you for? What's she going to helm you for? A woman that passed on be generations before that, I don't know. She must have some contact with the next world. A person that knows another person that's passing on. So now, where do you go from here?
And I actually thought somebody must have been literally tying a cat up and strangling her or something, you know. But I went out onto the window with my lump of turf, and there was nobody there, nothing there, but you could hear this way, and suddenly my hair began to stand up, and I thought, Jesus Christ, that's really strange. I did the best thing, which is to get under the bed, cover my head, and try to block it out, you know. But the next morning, anyway, I got up, and there was a bang on my door. Mrs. Cummins came up the stairs to tell me that Frank had died. And I said, how do you know that? And she said, oh, I know it, poor Frank is dead, he's after dying. Now, Frank lived in New York, we were living in Dublin, you know. And 3 days later, a telegram arrived to say Frank had died at that particular point in time, you know. So since then, I've thought that was definitely a banshee. That's the only time I've ever heard anything like that in my life. But don't ask me to explain it. No idea.
Apparently, when he was getting the tea, and he was getting it, I suppose, well, he shouldn't be getting it, maybe, but he heard the banshee. And he dropped everything and ran home, and he was as white as a sheet, and he was frightened out of his life, and he got an awful fright. But and somebody in the area, somebody belonging to him, had died on the night, now, as it so happened. Now, believe it or not, it could be anything. My two aunts, they saw her, they're cutting cabbages in the yard or something, the summer's evening, and she came along and passed them by, and she come in her hair. She took no notice that they didn't have hair like.
They used to believe long ago in it all right, you know. Yeah. When a person would be passing on, yeah. She was supposed to be sitting there and combing her hair and crying out, you know.
It's a very consoling belief. It's a very nice one, very consoling. It's family. It's the idea that it's one of your ancestors, that somebody has come to take you away, that somebody is going to cross over with you and you join the community of the dead of your ancestors on the other side. At least that's how people have worked it out down over the centuries. So you're not going on your own. You're accompanied by one of your own. So it fits in with people's desires and requirements and a sense of identity and so on. And then being the protectress of the land, being the goddess of war. So you have many dimensions, many imaginations and conceptions of the other world. It's the land of women. It's the land of the dead.
All the old people long ago, you know, they had all them stories and everything, you know, but today every road is so busy with cars and everything, they must have killed them all.
That's why I say, you know, the tragedy is that thousands and thousands of these stories have been lost just because the old people haven't been got in time.
They'll have an interest in it, you know what I mean? It's folklore, it's interesting, you know what I mean? Not many people my age do now, but it's fun, you know what I mean?
There's more in this world than we think about, than we know about. I'm convinced of that.
That's Ireland, yeah. That's Ireland.
God help us. Them are the days.